So as everyone waits for Vice President Joe Biden to decide whether or not he's going to run for president, there's a new report that claims that Biden himself was the source of a New York Times column by Maureen Dowd that revealed an emotional moment when his son Beau was dying, that he turned to his father and encouraged him to get into this race and run for president. Politico reports, according to multiple sources, it was Biden himself who talked to her, painting a tragic portrait of a dying son, Beau's face partially paralyzed, sitting his father down and trying to make him promise to run for president because, quote, the White House should not revert to the Clintons and that the country would be better off with Biden values. Jonah Goldberg is senior editor of the National Review and a Fox News contributor. Jonah, good morning. Good to have you here today.
Morning.
So, you know, everybody who follows these things is very familiar with this Maureen Dowd piece, a heart-wrenching moment, and it was conveyed that Beau said that he very much wanted his dad to run for president. And now it appears, according to this, that Joe Biden himself was the source for that Maureen Dowd column. How damaging is that?
Well, I mean, I'm not a big fan of Joe Biden. I've criticized him a lot over the years. But on this, I would be willing, I would encourage people to wait to hear his version or his response to this Politico story, because there's a lot of details that we don't quite know yet. You know, did Maureen Dowd hear from other people that this was this story happened, and then contacted Joe Biden, and then they had a conversation about it? Yeah. If the thing is just simply untrue, or if it's substantially untrue and is simply being peddled by the Clintons as a bit of hardball to scare him from getting out of the race, then Joe Biden needs to come out and forcefully say this is an outrageous story. How dare they play these political games?
Yeah, but this is Joe Biden. I mean, this is someone who speaks very openly about his emotions. To me, it's not that. You know, it's not really an indictment for him to have spoken with Maureen Dowd. You know, if she called him and asked him about whether or not he was going to run, and he shared this story with her about something that was transpired between he and his son before he died. So that's one side of it. I think people accept Joe Biden as being an emotional man who bears his soul and talks about what's going on in his life quite openly. The other side of it that you just mentioned in that response is whether or not this is planted by the Clintons to sort of neutralize the sympathy factor for Joe Biden. Do you think that's the case?
Oh, I certainly think the Clintons are capable of it. I mean, the Clintons are capable pretty much of any kind of hard-nosed, smash-mouth, destroy the accuser, destroy inconvenient people politics imaginable. They've been doing it for over 25 years. The idea that they wouldn't do it to Joe Biden if they concluded that Joe Biden was a real threat to them seems to me to be, obvious that they would.
So that may be the case.
Even though they're close friends with him. But that said, look, I mean, this story is supposed to be, it's sort of being rolled out as the founding narrative of a presidential campaign. And if it turns out that the person whose idea it was to use this story as a launch pad for his presidential campaign was Joe Biden himself, that is a really damaging story to have out there. And my guess is that the truth is somewhere much closer in the grayish middle, and Joe Biden needs to clarify this, because he's going to be asked about this if he runs for president over and over again, and he should have, unlike Hillary Clinton with her email server,
I just don't know how damning it is if it came from him. If he puts it in the right context of something that he was sharing, I think it could be fine for him. But the other part of this story, and let's put this quote up: by every account of those surrounding Biden, Beau is constantly on his father's mind. But so are the Clinton poll numbers, and his own, such as the crosstab data that shows him drawing more support from Clinton than from Bernie. So he's assessing whether or not he can take a big bite out of Hillary Clinton's numbers if he gets in this race. He's doing fairly well. Let's put it the poll numbers in New Hampshire and Iowa. For somebody who's not even in the race, he's got a nice chunk of these numbers so far. So can he beat her is the question, Jonah, if he gets in?
I'm skeptical of it. One, the institutional power that Hillary has is enormous in the party. So it's more like, can Hillary destroy herself, and can Biden swoop in and pick up the pieces? He is a better politician. He is more likable. He has wanted to run for president for a very long time. He's run twice before. He lives and breathes politics. I don't find that him pouring over the poll data all that shocking. But basically, Hillary's problems are almost entirely self-inflicted. I do think that Biden has problems as a candidate himself, in the sense that he's the one candidate who has had a harder time, even harder time than Hillary Clinton herself, at distancing himself from Barack Obama. who may be personally popular among Democrats, but almost 80% of this country think the country's on the wrong track. People think his policies have failed. And to have a guy who emotionally, politically, and psychologically is incapable of admitting that Obama did anything wrong is a real problem for the Democrats.
I mean, it's just such a fascinating story because, you know, the White House has been very clear that they are encouraging of Joe Biden in this. And when you look at the quote about Beau urging him to run, he's saying we don't want the Clintons in the White House. We want Biden values in the White House. So, as you say, you know, it's very House of Cards, very interesting. And
well, that is a true fact. I would rather have Biden values in the White House, too, than Clinton values. But, you know,
there you go.
It is.
Jonah, thank you very much. Good to have you.